Hello and welcome to episode 28.5 of the Never Heard of It podcast. I am Craig Moorhead.
Hey, and I'm Shawn Harwell, and yes, these are the bi-weekly mini episodes that we do where we talk kind of briefly about some stuff that's in the news from the entertainment industry, some stuff that'll be familiar to you probably in the coming months or days or weeks, and then maybe some stuff that, is not the biggest headline, but that's interesting to us.
That's absolutely right, Shawn. And also, just in case you missed it, our last episode was about the movie Bound. We had some special guests on. There's some of the wives in our group here. Some of our sister wives. That sounded like we were like in a compound of some kind.
Yes.
It was a great episode. So please, you can scroll back and listen to that right after you listen to this amazing cast.
That's right. And if you want to find more of us on the internet, go check us out at neverheardpodcast.com. And as always, we do appreciate an iTunes review like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Craig.
Shawn.
I just read something 15 minutes ago that has shaken my world slightly.
Okay. Shaking it, but just a little.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to share this with you, okay?
Sure.
Now, I'm going to preface this by saying this is coming from a website called birthmoviesdeath.com.
I know
and
it.
This is all, you do know it?
I'm quite familiar with it. I read that frequently. They used to be home to Film Crit Hulk, if I'm correct.
Okay.
And I've enjoyed many of his wonderful musings.
So this, automatically this gives us more credibility. I wasn't that familiar with him. Oh. The headline is simply this: surprise, John Turturro is currently filming a Big Lebowski Spin-Off. And yes, word on the street is Jesus Quintana is coming back in a very strange way. This is the article. And this is nuts, man. They're saying they got sources. They don't link to the sources, but that there's a movie called Going Places, which I think Turturro himself is directing, is currently filming. And not only is he playing his character, Jesus Quintana from the Big Lebowski, but this is actually a remake of a French sex farce.
Wow.
That sounded like I said sex farts. We've talked about that before in a previous podcast.
We did. You can go back to Two Faces of January.
Is that what it was?
If you want to hear about sex farts.
Which everybody does. Sex farce.
Mm-hmm.
The film in question was 1974's Les Valeuses.
Oh. And great pronunciation, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I kind of nailed it. And it sounds like it's essentially about two men competing to give a woman her first orgasm. And the other man in this instance would be Bobby Cannavale from, he was just on Vinyl, and he's been in a ton of things. Win-win. He's a great actor. What do you think about this? If true.
Man, I don't know what to think about it.
Yes. I didn't know this. Okay, let me tell you too. It sounds like from their article that the Coen brothers are probably not involved.
Right.
Maybe they have, you'd like to think that with Turturro being obviously close to them,
right?
He at least has their approval to continue this character. But yeah, what do you think?
Man, it's certainly a neat idea. It's tough because I would be so much more excited if it was the Coen brothers doing it, because even then it would be a little confusing.
Right.
But Turturro's been, he's directed a fair number of things. I haven't necessarily seen them, but he certainly seems serious about that. Man, I have no idea what to think about that. That is
right. I know.
Like if it was right in front of you right now, Shawn, if you could walk into a theater and watch that movie right now, would you do it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
for sure. All things being equal, yeah. I would. And I was just trying to think, is there precedent for this? Is there another movie that's kind of done the spin-off thing in a completely different way? Yeah. I'm sure there is. Maybe not necessarily by remaking another movie that's not at all connected to what we know that character from is. But I'm also thinking, well, maybe this is crazy enough that that's the way you want to do it. Because in a lot of ways, I think we could sit here and say, oh, wouldn't we love a Big Lebowski sequel? And then they would make one, and you'd be like, yeah, maybe I didn't need a Big Lebowski sequel. That happens a lot,
Yeah, it does.
And or even just some weird kind of continuation of the story via a side character like this. So I don't know. Maybe there's something just crazy enough about this that it would work. And he's such a likably unlikable character in that movie. He's a pedant, for God's sake.
It really makes you wonder, like, how is it really going to maintain everything about that character?
Well, then there's so little about that character that we know, other than the fact that he's into 8-year-olds and he likes to bowl. You could kind of do anything. So I don't know.
True, but do I want to cheer him on to win an orgasm contest?
I only want to cheer him on to lick more bowling balls. So yeah. And crap! I just closed the article. I think Susan Sarandon is in it, but I don't know if she's the girl in question. I don't think she's Audrey Tautou. Of Amelie fame. She is the woman, I think, in question that they're trying to bring to orgasm.
Let me ask you a question, a serious question.
Uh-oh.
Is he definitely a pederast, or was that just conjecture on the parts of...
I think there was definitely that one quick flash. No, but there's that flash to him going door to door. Remember, like he's ringing the doorbell. It's just like one quick cut.
Oh, yeah, because he has to go around and tell...
It could be it could be in their heads.
See how this one comes out.
Yeah. Maybe he just mentions that on the slide because I think this takes place years later. So there's some dark stuff in my past, and he just leaves it at that. Maybe
he meets her while he's going door to door in a new neighborhood.
Could be.
That seems romantic.
Yeah, that's a good rom-com setup. I think Little Children did something like that. But anyway,
right. Well, that's a great opener, man. That was quite a surprise, quite a news bomb.
Well, I got one other little tidbit of remake news, and I had heard about this before, but I hadn't thought about it in a while. But apparently, the Clue remake, of the beloved '80s movie, is back in the news, and it sounds like it's just at the very least landed at Fox. From a different studio or wherever it was set up previously. Really no other details beyond that. I definitely remember this movie fondly as a kid. I have no idea if it holds up, but one thing I was really surprised about in this Variety article, it kind of just ends with them saying that the original film grossed less than $15 million. Yeah. Which
it
seems
was not a
absurd
hit. It was definitely not a hit, as I remember.
I saw it in the theaters. Yeah.
And I mean, there's brilliant stuff in it. I mean,
right.
That's going to be the tough thing about this one in particular, because I feel like are they they're playing it off of people's sort of cult film sentimentality, maybe that because I mean there's not a huge fan base, I don't think, for this movie.
No, I think there's a lot of people our age that no doubt saw it on video.
Right.
I think it had a shelf life on VHS for sure, but I don't feel like, even beyond that, like I don't feel like it's one that just popped up on cable all the time, or it definitely was not one that everybody was clamoring for on DVD. I doubt, and Blu-ray. So yeah, I think you're bringing up a very good point.
Like
clearly,
they're gonna have to like really cast the hell out of that.
Yeah,
it's gonna have to be amazing, because I mean that cast was.
It's really good.
Just amazing. Like the people they had together on that. Man. Yeah. Yeah. And it was still kind of a dog, but like they, the people in it really saved it, I feel like.
And they have to keep the gimmick of the multiple endings?
I hope so. Actually, I hope they find a new and interesting way to do that.
I was going to say, how do you update that exactly?
Yeah. I always wondered if people stayed away from the movie because of the multiple endings. Like they were kind of like, I don't want to go see this movie 3 times.
Well, and movies are so expensive now too. It's like,
exactly.
Are you really going to pay? Maybe they give you like a discount. Here's what they'll do is they'll show one ending and they're like, or it could have happened like this.
Like it is on the video.
Go to fox.com/ clue ending C.
Yeah.
And type in this code.
Yeah.
And I wonder, maybe the digital projection gives you the benefit of, they could have all the multiple endings there
Do you vote for the ending?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You actually have the projectionist in the booth paying attention, and then they sort of tally, or they do some sort of automatic thing via computer. You vote with an app in the movie, and then that ending shows up.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
If they don't do that, then what's the point of remaking this movie? Seriously, like, what is the point? Like, you might as well do something fun. I would go see it then for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're not going to go see that.
I might not go see it. I didn't see the first one, but then I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you're also, what we're describing is like voting for American Idol, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the novelty of that is maybe
is
just because you're doing it in a theater, you know, it's like, oh, okay, this is new. Yeah.
Right. It's not my job to find out what your ending is. Like, you give me the ending. I paid the money.
Right.
So now make it good.
Well, I hope it makes more than $15 million this time, whatever it is.
Me too. I wish them the best, and I really hope they get an amazing writer on it, some great cast. It could be a lot of fun. Well, let me throw one more thing out there, just because it's an odd item. I can't really go too deeply on this because there's not much there. But I'm very puzzled by this. Maybe there is more. I've just scratched the surface. But Shawn, there's a movie that's coming out. There's a trailer up on Apple Trailers now for this movie called This Last Lonely Place.
That's right.
And
you sent me this.
It has a certainly a fair cast. I can't remember all their names, but it's actors that I've seen. A fair cast. Right. I can't remember all their names, but it's actors that I've seen before. They seem to be doing just fine. Here's the thing, though. On the page, prominently displayed, it sort of seems like this is the selling point of the movie, is that this movie was executive produced by the estate of Humphrey Bogart. And I have no idea what that is supposed to mean. I watched the trailer, and I still felt like I didn't understand what that meant. Like, what is that supposed to mean to me? So then I went looking online to find out this crazy story about this movie that was probably always Humphrey Bogart's, like, this script that he always wanted to make and he just couldn't, and they finally made it. But no, it's just like in Deadline, there's just like an announcement like, hey, the estate of Humphrey Bogart is going to produce this movie. And the thing is, I was confused, Shawn, because of this. Recently, there was a Criterion Collection release. And I could have sworn the name of it was This Last Lonely Place. And I was like, oh, they remade it?
That's what I was going to say.
He produced it?
That would make the only thing that makes sense to me about it in that regard would be a remake, right?
Right. But no, the movie on Criterion is called In a Lonely Place. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with the trailer that I've watched. So I don't know. I'm confused by the selling point. Like, otherwise, it just seems like any other, sort of indie movie that's, trying to get a piece of, like, the thriller suspense pie, maybe. But it's just interesting. What's your takeaway from this?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was just like, how does an entity produce something? I mean, other than just saying an actual production company. I mean, I'm looking here at deadline.com, and this is saying the Humphrey Bogart estate is co-managed by Robert de Klerk and Stephen Humphrey Bogart, son of Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. But I mean, just produced by Robert de Klerk and Stephen and Humphrey Bogart. I don't know that anything beyond that means anything different to me as a film goer. Well, I will say this about it. It got us talking about
certainly
about
did
the movie, which I had no knowledge of whatsoever. So if you take every advantage that you can get to kind of grab some sort of attention in the marketplace, and maybe that's the only sort of angle that they had on this.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's talk box office.
Well, as we correctly predicted every other previous week, now's a good time to look at what's coming out this weekend.
Yes.
Which is the weekend of... Because we record these slightly in advance. If you're wondering why we didn't pick up on the fact that Pete's Dragon didn't even end the weekend before we predicted it to be in first place as a holdover.
Right.
I shouldn't say we. Well, we both did, didn't we?
Yeah. And just for the record, Pete's Dragon was robbed.
Pete's Dragon was robbed. We haven't seen it, but we know it was robbed.
Definitely robbed.
So yeah, this is the weekend of September 2nd. We're doing it a little bit in advance. But that said, I think this weekend maybe is a little... it's a little more difficult because the films are a little smaller, I think. But maybe that means we can find the obvious winner from a previous week. So September 2nd, you've got The Light Between Oceans, which is a new film from Derek Cianfrance, the director of Blue Valentine and The Place Beyond the Pines. Stars Michael Fassbender, Alicia Vikander, Rachel Weisz, etc. Looks like heavy kind of art house drama. Definitely, I would imagine, would be an awards contention.
Sure.
For some of the various people involved. I have not watched the trailer yet. You did?
I did.
Excited about it?
I don't know how excited I am about it. It's one that I'll definitely keep an eye on and just see if, I don't know, it starts to get a little more notice or people keep talking about it. Or it just falls in my lap. I don't know. There's a very interesting twist in the middle. If you watch the trailer, basically what it is it's these two people. They seem to love each other very much. And then one day, this rowboat rows ashore at their little beach hideaway, wherever it is they are. And inside that rowboat is a baby. And so then they start raising this baby. Mm-hmm. And it looks like about 4 or 5, maybe 6 years into this baby's life, they meet a woman... and find out that 5, 6, 7 years ago, she lost her daughter in a shipwreck. Like she and her husband survived, but their daughter was lost at sea. And, it was sort of nearby where they found this baby. And, basically meaning, hey, I think this baby is that woman's. So now you have someone who's been your child for 6 or 7 years. And now you're faced with this idea of, giving up that child.
Right.
Seems like a lot of meat there. Seems like a pretty tough spot. Yeah. So definitely I'm intrigued by that plot. Yeah.
I'm a for sure fan of that filmmaker. So I think, he could definitely make a real meal out of that. In addition, we have a movie here called Solace, which has a date of 2015. So maybe it's one that didn't quite make it out. And I feel like, Craig, this... even just looking at the poster is like one of the perfect never heard of it movies, like in my opinion, because you've got, first of all, it's a psychic works with the FBI in order to hunt down a serial killer. Mm-hmm. I somehow feel like I've seen that before already. Sure. But we got Anthony Hopkins, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Abby Cornish, Colin Farrell, all successful actors in their own right. Some big names there. And yet just that poster just kind of looks like it's being dumped on the marketplace.
Right.
Which, as you know, are some of my favorite movies.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we've got Skip Trace, which is an action comedy, which basically all you need to know is directed by Rennie Harlan and stars Jackie Chan and Johnny Knoxville. So wow. I don't know. Yeah, that could definitely satisfy some Rush Hour fans, if nothing else.
Indeed.
And... I think that's pretty much it for this week.
Well, it's not. I'll tell you what. There are 2 other movies.
Oh, tell me then.
Yoga Hosers will be unleashed on the world, as will a movie called Morgan, which has also looked pretty interesting.
Now, what's Morgan?
Now, Morgan, let me read the premise. Corporate risk management consultant Lee Weathers has to determine whether or not to terminate the life of an artificial being that was created in the corporation's laboratory. That's the worst synopsis of that movie. No, it's
well, it sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I mean that's somewhat interesting, but the trailer I think is a lot more interesting than that. I wish I had a better synopsis because now I would just stumble around the whole time. But it's basically this idea of like, is this thing a monster or not, and should we destroy it and all that stuff. It looks very interesting. I
mean, Yoga Hosers, potentially, depending on how many screens it's on, could definitely be in play. And then, I think the previous weekend, we'll have seen Bloodfather, the Mel Gibson action movie, Hands of Stone, that boxing movie with De Niro. Those are all out.
Don't Breathe.
A couple,
which I have high hopes
Don't Breathe.
For.
Yeah, and I suspect that's going to do well also. So, I don't know. What do you... Man, I'm not sure. You've got another Mechanic movie with Jason Statham that's hanging around. Jessica Alba, our friend from The Veil, and Tommy Lee Jones are in that one.
Well,
where do you start predicting?
So we're saying who's number
September
one
2nd.
at the end of this weekend, right?
Right.
Jeez.
That's why I'm making you go first.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Pete's Dragon came from behind. I would love that.
It took a month, but people finally got around.
People really started discovering it.
Yeah, once the kids were back in school.
Man, I mean that's tough. Like some of this stuff has to sort of be pushing up to the top. I kind of feel like people are getting in the mood for scarier stuff.
I totally agree.
Going into September, so I'm gonna say I'm gonna hope that Don't Breathe had a great weekend. And it kind of shot up there. Everybody was like, "Oh, I want some more scary stuff." And then I'm gonna straight up say that Morgan, if not number one, will come in number two.
Wow.
And if it comes in number two, it's either coming in number two to Suicide Squad or War Dogs.
Man, you were hanging on to the Suicide Squad's thing, and that
I don't know. That thing still
took a hit already last weekend, but we'll see. I think that's valid. I think those are very valid guesses. Yeah. I'm gonna say, crapola. I want to say that either the Mechanic movie or Bloodfather are gonna perform well enough to hang on 2 weekends in a row. I don't know with a horror movie floating around. Crap,
it's tough.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Don't Breathe.
All right.
I'm gonna trump your horror card with a different horror card.
So you think Don't Breathe is gonna be number one at the end of the September 2nd weekend?
2 weeks in a row.
Oh man, that'd be great. I love that premise. I can't tell you how much I love that premise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
It does.
I'm gonna say it hangs on. I think you're right. The horror market is primed and pumped. People are back in school. College kids are there. They're gonna go. I think of the new releases, I think Skip Trace is gonna land in the top 5.
Skip Trace, yeah. Interesting. That's the Rennie Harlan.
Yeah.
All right. Sure.
I'll say number 3. And the rest will you fill in the blanks. It's like Mad Libs, whatever. I would love for the Light Between Oceans to do it, but I don't see it happening. I don't know. And I suspect that's going to be a somewhat smaller release. But anyway, I think that's as good of an educated guess as I can make this week.
All right. Well, I think that's good. I think it is a tough one. But I think that's good work, Shawn. Good thinking, good analysis.
Oh, thanks, Craig.
All right, well, that'll do it for 28.5. You've got all the information you need. Now you can go out and amaze your friends with all the knowledge you've attained.
Do please place financial bets based on what we're saying here.
Yes. And if you have any extra time, listen to some of our older podcasts. They're pretty good. Maybe subscribe to that stuff and tell your friends about it. We're fun, right? We're good enough for your friends.
Your friends will like us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so come back next week, and we're going to be talking about It Had to Happen. We watched a James Franco-directed film, Child of God. It's on Netflix right now. It's the Cormac McCarthy adaptation. We got a very special guest in writer, director, actor. He's a multi-hyphenate, and he tells a great story about being a PA. Bob Hardison of Angry White Man. So come back for that. It's going to be a fun time.
Absolutely. And until then, keep watching movies.
With your eyes.